All right, welcome everyone. We are jumping right into today's explainer, and let me tell you, we're going on an absolute adventure. We are looking at one of the most thrilling, action-packed historical events ever recorded. We're talking about an epic midnight rescue mission straight out of ancient Egypt. It's a story packed with danger, incredible miracles, and a totally brilliant escape plan. So let's dive right in.
Imagine this for a second. You've got exactly one single night to pack up your entire life and escape to freedom. It's pitch black outside, the clock is ticking down, and you are literally running toward a brand new life. What do you even take? How fast are you moving? I really want you to hold on to that suspense, because that is exactly the situation the Israelites found themselves in.
Section 1, the Great Rescue Plan. God gives Moses a top-secret mission. Okay, so for 430 long years, the Israelites were dealing with a massive problem. They were completely stuck in Egypt, living this brutal life of bondage and slavery. But God heard them, and he gave Moses and Aaron a brilliant, top-secret rescue plan. God was about to pull off an epic deliverance, and this is a big but, they had to follow his instructions absolutely perfectly for it to work. Now, you gotta realize the sheer scale of what was happening here. This wasn't just, a quick trip out of town. This was a total transformation. On one hand, you have their old life, heavy stone bricks, crushing slavery. On the other hand, boom, an explosive new beginning. It was actually such a huge, fresh start that God literally commanded them to reset their entire calendar. He told them, this will be the first month of the year for you, a complete reset for a newly freed people. But to actually reach that freedom, they had to take action. God gave them some highly specific instructions. Step 1, on the 10th day of the month, every family had to pick a perfect, totally unblemished lamb. Step 2, take a bunch of hyssop leaves, dip it in the lamb's blood, and paint the two sides and the top of their door frames. And step 3, roast that lamb over a fire and eat it that very same night. This was all about faith and obedience. They had to deeply trust God and follow those exact steps to be protected. Moving into Section 2, a fast and hasty meal. No time to lose. So the sun goes down, the torches are lit, and the Israelites are gathered inside their homes. But listen, this was not your normal, relaxing family dinner where everybody just sits back and takes their time. Oh no, there was absolutely zero time to lose. Here is where it gets really crazy. God told them exactly how to eat this meal. They had to eat the roasted lamb, the unleavened bread, which is matzah, and the bitter herbs, the maror. But get this, they had to eat it with their belts already fastened, their shoes tied tightly on their feet, and their walking staffs gripped right in their hands. They were literally standing up, eating hurriedly, completely dressed, and ready to just sprint out the door at a moment's notice. So, what's the deal with the blood on the door? Well, it beautifully illustrates a really profound concept: salvation through atonement. You see, the blood applied to the doors was a powerful symbol. It showed that a perfect, unblemished lamb had been sacrificed in their place. Because that lamb took their place, God's judgment would completely spare the Israelite firstborns. They were saved and protected through this incredible act of substitution. Section 3, the Midnight Miracle. The passing over. Okay, so then the sky grows completely dark. A tense desert wind starts swirling through the Egyptian streets, and the clock is ticking closer and closer to the darkest hour of the night. It hits midnight. If we map out the timeline of this single night, the speed is just breathtaking. At dusk, families are urgently painting their doors. At midnight, God passes through the land. And by morning, an entire nation is already marching out into the daylight. Right at that midnight hour, God executed judgment against all the false gods of Egypt. But for the Israelites, the blood on the doorframe acted like a miraculous glowing shield of protection. God had promised them, "The blood will serve you as a sign. When I see the blood, I will pass over you." And you know what? That's exactly what happened. The danger completely passed over every single home marked by faith. Meanwhile, over in the opulent Egyptian palaces, there is just absolute panic. A horrendous wailing echoed through the entire country because judgment had struck. Right in the middle of the night, Pharaoh himself shoots out of bed, summons Moses and Aaron, and just shouts, "Up and leave my people! Take your flocks, take your herds, and get out of here!" The Egyptians were so terrified, they were practically shoving the Israelites out the door. Which brings us to Section 4, the Great Egyptian Escape. Run to freedom! And just like that, the Great Escape is on. Just picture the sheer energy and chaos of this moment. 600,000 men on foot, plus all the women, the kids, huge flocks of livestock, all bursting out of the city of Ramses and marching towards Sukkot. After 430 years, they are finally running to freedom. And they left so fast, they literally did not even have time to let their bread rise. The people just grabbed their huge wooden kneading bowls full of sticky, unbaked flatbread dough, wrapped them up in their clothes, threw them right onto their shoulders, and ran. But they definitely didn't leave empty-handed. Right before sprinting away, they did exactly what Moses had told them to do. They asked their Egyptian neighbors for silver, gold jewelry, and clothing. And then this amazing miracle happens. God made the Egyptians so favorably disposed toward the Israelites that they just handed all their riches over. The Israelites literally plundered the wealth of Egypt as they rushed out the door. Section 5, a festival to remember. Passing down the epic story. As the sun rose on their very first day of freedom, they were looking at a totally new world. But God knows that we humans can easily forget even the most spectacular miracles, right? So he instituted an annual festival, a perpetual regulation, to make sure no one would ever forget this epic midnight rescue. God commanded that every single year, for 7 whole days, the Israelites had to eat matzah, that flat, unleavened bread. Actually, they had to completely sweep all the leaven, all the yeast, entirely out of their houses. This 7-day festival was designed so they would physically act out and remember their rushed escape from Egypt and practice some serious gratitude. So what does this all mean? What are the key takeaways from Exodus chapter 12? Let's bring it all together. First, we see God's incredible protection over his people. Second, salvation through atonement, the lamb acting as a substitute shield. Third, faith and obedience, because real action was required to step into freedom. Fourth, new beginnings, a fresh start, and literally a brand new calendar. And finally, the importance of remembrance, keeping their history and cultural identity alive. God explicitly commanded them, when your children ask you, "What do you mean by this ceremony?" you have to be ready with the answer. You have to pass down this exciting, miraculous truth that God passed over your houses and brought you out of slavery and into a brand new life. It's this epic, true tale meant to be shared from generation to generation, so it is never lost. What an absolutely spectacular story. But it leaves us with a pretty big question to think about. If you had to drop everything to run toward true freedom tonight, would you have the faith to step out the door? If you want to keep exploring these fascinating mysteries with us, click the bell button, like, share, and subscribe.